What's up, everybody? Welcome to Superpower Reviews. My name is Liam Smith. Today we're going to be reviewing the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive X-Men White Phoenix statue. Coming right up. Okay, so before we open this up, let's go ahead and take a look at the box. This is the X-Men White Phoenix from the Marvel Gallery series made by Diamond Select Toys. Now, the special thing about this one is this is the previews exclusive version for San Diego Comic-Con 2018. It was made specifically for San Diego Comic-Con, limited to 5,000 pieces. Okay, and flipping around to the side of the box, once again it is a window box so you can see through to the statue there. Not much to see on this side, the same logos as on the front. That would be the same on the other side, exactly the same logos. Flipping around to the back side of the box, I do have a full image of the statue and the diorama base. The origin story of White Phoenix is listed here. If you want to go ahead and pause that and read that, you can always do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the statue out of the box and take a closer look. Okay, so now we've got the statue out of the box, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the details. Now, the first thing I want to mention before I go over the specific details on the statue itself is the lack of stability this has. I noticed right away this base, although it looks really great, it does not necessarily sit really flat. You can see it does kind of wobble here a little bit. And on top of that, the way the foot attaches to the base, it is also fairly wobbly on the statue itself. Make sure you watch this video all the way to the end because, as I mentioned in the description, there is a fairly major issue with this statue that I need to go over, and I will talk about that at the end of the video. Okay, so let's go ahead and start at the top. Now, they have a very intricately detailed hair sculpt on this. You can see it's very big hair, very flowing with the wind. I really love the way they did this. They put some great coloring into the hair, some shading of different, it's almost a brownish red, not a bright red like you would typically expect, but it works for this version. This is the White Phoenix version, of course, so it is slightly different than Dark Phoenix and so on. Now, I mentioned before that the pose that she is in on this statue on the base is not very stable, but in reality that doesn't really matter. It's all about the aesthetic. What does it look like? And the pose they have her in here is really dynamic. I really love the way this looks. It's kind of a side pose, profile shot of her. I love the way she's about to cast a spell with her hand. She's coming out of the flames of the Phoenix. Everything is very dynamic and flowing. Now, the main feature of her suit, of course, is the white part of the suit, which in this case is kind of a pearl white. It's not just a flat white or a glossy white. They did a really good job putting a nice sheen on it without making it too glossy, and they did change it up with the different types of paint on the different colors. Now, let's talk about the sculpt on the body overall. The shape of the body itself is really nice. They gave it a very feminine look, but it's also very fit and muscular as well. They gave it an athletic look to it, fits the character perfectly. Now, flipping around to the side of the statue, as you can see, it's actually the side of the base, but the back of the statue because of her profile pose. Now, they do have some really nice detail, the way the legs flow, as well as the sash. I'm really impressed with the way they did this because this is a very fine detail here, which I actually almost broke when I took it out of the box. As you can see, it does move a little bit, but I wouldn't even want to touch that because it could break very easily. It's very fragile. Okay, and spinning around to the back of the statue, you can actually see the right side of her, the back of the base. You'll see more of the sash I was talking about. Again, you can see it does have some movement to it. It is a slightly softer material, so it's not going to break off, but I would still be very careful with that when you're picking up the statue or removing it from the box. Now, one of the most impressive sculpted pieces on this, which you don't see too often as being the most impressive, is the hands. These hands are very small and they're very finely detailed, have a very natural pose on both of them. Usually when you see a statue like this, the fingers can be fairly close together. These are opened up, lots of detail, but also very fragile. You want to be careful removing it from the box, grabbing onto it, anything that you're doing, moving it around. A lot of fragile details on here. That goes the same for the base. The wings on the Phoenix, very sharp tips on them, also very fragile. But let's be honest, none of that really matters how fragile it is as long as you're careful, if it gives it such an awesome look like this. They could have made things a lot more solid, a lot less dynamic, but they went the extra mile to put some fine details into this that really made it stand out. Now I do have to mention again how impressed I am with the pose they put her in as well. Stability is one thing, but the fact that they have this entire statue balancing on one foot coming out of the flaming phoenix, that's impressive to me. It just looks like she's flying up out of the flames. Gives it a very cool look to it that I haven't seen really in any other statue of this size. Now I'm really impressed with some of the layering on the sculpting they did here. If you look at the way the gloves are attached to the arms, they actually look like they're pulled on like gloves. They're not just cut into the sculpt itself. Same goes for the phoenix on the chest. The black border around the collar and the chest also look like they're layered on material. They put a lot of fine detail into that. I'm very impressed with how that turned out. Same goes for the sash I mentioned before, the details in that. They even went as far as putting the fine wrinkles around the front where it does wrap around the waist. Very nice detail there, gives it a very realistic fabric look to it. Now moving down to the boots, same situation as the gloves. They are separate sculpted pieces that are layered on top of the legs. That's very nice again because it does look like the boots are separate from the suit. Okay, so let's take a look at the size of the statue. From the base to the top of the hair, you're looking at just under 12 inches, about 11.5 inches roughly. It is pretty close to being a 1/6 scale statue. Just a little bit smaller than that. It's not 2 scale at 1/6, but it's close. So you may be wondering why I haven't talked about the face sculpt yet. I usually do that at the beginning of the review, but I saved that for the end because it's a little bit different this time. You heard me use the term impressive for a lot of the things about this statue throughout the review. Not so much with the face sculpt. Let's talk about what happened with that. Now I think one of the biggest areas where they dropped the ball on this one was definitely the paint on the face itself. If you take a look at the fine details around the eyes, the lips specifically, the details are just really sloppy. If you look at the picture of the prototype statue, the lips are full and they're fully red. In this case, I don't know what happened with the painting, but they seem to have added teeth and they didn't paint the red all the way to the top and the bottom of the lips. Gives it a very thin, kind of strange look to the expression and to the face itself. It really throws off the entire face. And it's really a shame because if you look at the rest of the statue, it is really great like I showed earlier, but then you go up to the face, which should be one of the main featured things of any statue, should be the detail in the face. This one just does not have it. And it is, again, like I said, something that does happen with some of the Diamond Select toy statues. The body sculpts, the bases, everything are really great. The details in the paint throughout the statue are good, but something with the faces, they just don't get the details and the tones right on it. And that's going to wrap it up for this review of the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive X-Men White Phoenix statue. Thanks for checking it out. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos. And as always, I'll see you on the next video.